My family uninvited me from Thanksgiving for being too different, so I cut them off financially. There's a special kind of pain that comes from being rejected by your own family. It's not like a romantic breakup or the end of a friendship. It's deeper than that. More primal. It's the realization that the people who are supposed to love you unconditionally, who are supposed to be your safe place, your home base, your forever people, they don't want you anymore. I've thought about that day so many times since it happened. The way my mother's text arrived like a knife in the heart. The way my hand shook as I read the words. The way my world tilted on its axis and never quite righted itself. For me, that realization came on a Wednesday afternoon in November, 3 days before Thanksgiving. I was at work, buried in spreadsheets and deadlines, when my phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Hi sweetie. Just wanted to let you know that we've decided to keep Thanksgiving small this year. Immediate family only. Hope you understand." I stared at the message for a long moment. Immediate family only. That meant my parents, my younger brother Derek, his wife Sarah, and their 2 kids, ages 6 and 4. That meant me. No. I was immediate family. I was their son. I read the text again. And again. Each time hoping the words would change, would rearrange themselves into something that made sense. They didn't. I called her immediately. "Mom, what does that mean? Immediate family only." "I'm immediate family." She sighed, that familiar sigh I'd heard my whole life, the one that meant she was about to say something I didn't want to hear. It was the same sigh she'd used when she told me they couldn't afford to send me to the college I'd dreamed of. The same sigh when she explained why they couldn't visit me in the city. The same sigh that prefaced every disappointment, every letdown, every moment when I learned that my needs would always come second. "Ethan, it's complicated. We just think it's better this year if you don't come." Better for whom? Better why? What did I do? It's not about what you did. It's about who you are now. The way you live. The choices you've made. It makes everyone uncomfortable. The choices I've made. She meant my career. My success. My decision to move to the city and build a life outside their small town. She meant the fact that I'd become someone they didn't recognize, someone who didn't fit into their narrow definition of acceptable. I'm 32 years old. I left home at 18 for college, and I never really went back. It wasn't that I didn't love them, I did, desperately. It was that there was nothing for me in that town, in that life. The factory where my father worked was closing. The main street was half empty. The kids I'd grown up with were either gone or stuck, drinking away their weekends at the same bars we'd snuck into as teenagers. I wanted more. I needed more. So I built more. I worked my way through college, graduated with honors, landed a job in finance. I climbed the ladder, took risks, said yes to opportunities. By 29, I was making more money than anyone in my family had ever dreamed of. I bought a condo in the city, drove a nice car, wore nice clothes. I was successful by any objective measure. But to my family, success looked like staying close, marrying young, having kids, and never changing. My brother Derek had done all that. He lived 2 miles from our parents, worked at the same factory our father had worked at for 30 years, the one that was now barely hanging on, and spent his weekends watching football and drinking beer with his high school friends. He was exactly what they wanted. Safe. Familiar. Unthreatening. I was the outlier. The one who left. The one who changed. The one who made them feel, by my very existence, that the life they'd chosen wasn't enough. I tried to bridge the gap. God, how I'd tried. I sent gifts for every occasion, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. I called regularly, even when the conversations were stilted and awkward. I visited when I could, squeezing into their small house, sleeping on the couch, pretending I didn't notice the way they looked at my clothes, my car, my phone. I paid for things. A new roof for my parents' house when the old one started leaking, $12,000, gone. A used car for my brother when his broke down, $8,000 more. Tuition for my niece's dance classes, year after year. Medical bills for my mother when her insurance didn't cover enough. I never asked for anything in return. I thought if I could help them, support them, they'd see that my success was a good thing, something to be proud of, not something to resent. I was wrong. Mom, what is this really about? Is it about my job? My apartment? The fact that I don't have a wife and kids? It's about the way you are now. You're just different. You talk different, you dress different, you act different. When you come home, everyone feels like they have to walk on eggshells. Like you're judging them. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just living my life. Your life isn't our life. And that's fine. But we don't need it shoved in our faces. I didn't know what to say. How was I shoving my life in their faces? By existing? By being myself? By showing up to family dinners in clothes that fit properly and talking about work that they didn't understand? Look, it's just this year, she said, her voice softening slightly. Maybe next year things will be different. We just need some space right now. Space from me. Your son. Ethan, please don't make this harder than it is. I hung up. Sat at my desk, staring at nothing, feeling something crack inside me. The rest of the day was a blur. I went through the motions, answered emails, attended meetings. But my mind was elsewhere, circling the same questions over and over. What had I done wrong? Why wasn't I enough? How could they just uninvite me from Thanksgiving? That night, I sat in my apartment, alone, and thought about everything. The childhood I'd had, loving in some ways, lacking in others. The way I'd always been the responsible one, the one who didn't cause trouble, the one who made their lives easier. The way my needs, my dreams, my desires had always been secondary to my brothers, to my parents, to everyone else's. And I thought about the money. The tens of thousands of dollars I'd given them over the years. The mortgage payments I'd covered when my father was laid off. The car insurance I'd paid when my brother couldn't. The loans that were never repaid, the gifts that were never acknowledged, the endless stream of support that I'd provided without question. I'd never asked for anything in return. Not gratitude, not acknowledgement, not even a thank you most of the time. I'd done it because they were family. Because that's what family does. But apparently, family didn't work both ways. The next day, I called my accountant. I need to make some changes, I said. Remove my parents from the payroll. He paused. You mean the monthly transfers? Yes. All of it. Stop everything. Ethan, that's a significant amount. We're talking about mortgage payments, insurance, the supplemental income you've been providing. Are you sure? I've never been more sure. Can I ask what prompted this? I hesitated. Then, they told me I'm not welcome at Thanksgiving. Because I'm too different. So I'm done being their wallet. He was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm sorry, Ethan. That's really hard. It is. But I need to do this. I understand. I'll process the changes immediately. I hung up and felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no regret. Just a hollow emptiness where love used to be. The transfers stopped that week. No more mortgage payments. No more car insurance. No more gifts that had become expected, demanded, taken for granted. My parents were on their own. I didn't tell them. I didn't warn them. I just stopped. The fallout would come soon enough. Thanksgiving came and went. I spent it with friends in the city, a Friendsgiving, at my colleague Jenna's apartment, complete with turkey, wine, and people who actually wanted me there. It was warm and fun and everything a holiday should be. Jenna's husband made a turkey that was actually moist. Her kids drew placemats for everyone. We played games after dinner and laughed until we cried. But underneath the laughter, there was an ache. A longing for the family I'd lost, even if they'd never really been mine. I watched Jenna with her parents, who'd driven in from out of state, and felt a pang of something I couldn't name. Jealousy, maybe. Grief. The knowledge that I'd never have that. I didn't hear from my parents on Thanksgiving. No call, no text, no nothing. I told myself I didn't care. I lied. The first sign of trouble came a week later. My father called, not my mother, which was unusual. He never called me directly. In 32 years, I could count on one hand the number of times he'd initiated a conversation. "Ethan, we need to talk about the bank account." "What about it?" "There's been a problem with the automatic transfers. The mortgage didn't get paid this month. The bank called. They said we're late." I didn't respond. "Ethan? You there?" "I'm here. So can you fix it? Call the bank, sort it out." "No." Silence. Long, heavy silence. I could hear him breathing, could almost see the confusion on his face. "What do you mean, no?" "I mean no. I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to call the bank. I'm not going to transfer more money. It's done." "Done? What does that mean?" "It means I've been supporting you for years. Paying your bills, covering your expenses, making sure you're comfortable. And in return, you uninvited me from Thanksgiving because I'm too different. So I'm done." I heard my mother's voice in the background, muffled, asking what was happening. My father's voice when he responded was tight, controlled. "That's not fair. Your mother was just. I don't care what she was just. I care that my own family doesn't want me at their table. I care that I've given you everything and gotten nothing in return. I care that you see my success as something to resent instead of something to celebrate. Ethan, you're being dramatic. It was one holiday. It was one holiday that told me everything I needed to know about where I stand. And now you get to stand on your own. Your mother has health problems. Her medication is expensive. We can't. Then figure it out. You're adults. You have jobs. Handle your own expenses like every other adult on the planet." I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. I felt sick. The next call came from my mother 20 minutes later. She was crying, the kind of crying that makes it hard to breathe, hard to speak. "How could you do this to us? We're your parents. We raised you. We sacrificed for you. You owe us." "I don't owe you anything. I gave you everything. Freely, happily, because I loved you. And you threw it back in my face." "We didn't throw anything. We just needed some space. Space from your son. At Thanksgiving. The holiday about family. About gathering together and being grateful for the people in your life. It was one holiday. It was one holiday too many. And now you get to experience what it's like to stand on your own. You're killing me, Ethan. This stress, this worry, it's going to kill me. Don't do that. Don't make your health my responsibility. You're an adult. Take care of yourself." She hung up on me. I let her. My brother called next. Derek, who I'd helped more times than I could count. Derek, who'd never once said thank you. Derek, who'd never stood up for me, never defended me, never once said, "Hey, Ethan's actually doing really well, maybe we should be proud of him. You're really cutting mom and dad off. Over Thanksgiving. Over a lifetime, Derek. Over a lifetime of being the outsider, the disappointment, the one who's too different. This was just the last straw. They're your parents. You can't just abandon them. I'm not abandoning them. I'm stopping the financial support. There's a difference. They're adults. They can take care of themselves. They can't afford it. Dad's job doesn't pay enough. Mom's health insurance is expensive. They need you. They need me. Or they need my money. Because they made it pretty clear they don't need me at their table. Derek was quiet for a moment. Then, this is going to destroy the family. The family was already destroyed. I just finally noticed. I didn't hear from them for a while after that. Weeks passed. Christmas came and went. I spent it with friends again, building new traditions, new memories. It was good. Better than I'd expected. But underneath, the ache remained. The longing for something I'd never really had. I started seeing a therapist. Dr. Reeves was patient, kind, helped me untangle the knots I'd been carrying for years. You've been trying to buy their love, she said gently. And it's not your fault. You learned early that love was conditional, that you had to earn it. So you kept trying to earn it, even as an adult, even when it was clear it wasn't working. I just wanted them to be proud of me. I know. And that's a normal, human desire. But you can't control their response. You can only control your own actions. And you've finally set a boundary. That's healthy. Then why does it feel so terrible? Because setting boundaries with people you love is always painful. Especially when they're not used to respecting them. But the pain doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you're human. I held on to those words in the dark moments. Meanwhile, my parents were struggling. I heard through mutual friends, the small-town gossip network was impossible to escape. They'd fallen behind on the mortgage. The bank was threatening foreclosure. My father had picked up extra shifts, but it wasn't enough. My mother's health was deteriorating under the stress. Part of me wanted to help. The old part, the conditioned part, the part that had spent 32 years putting them first. But another part, the new part, the healing part, knew that helping now would undo everything. Would prove that my boundaries were meaningless, that my needs didn't matter, that I would always, always come last. I stayed strong. I stayed silent. And I waited. The climax came in January, about 2 months after I stopped the payments. I was at work when my assistant buzzed me. Your parents are here to see you. They don't have an appointment. I froze. My parents had never visited me at work. They'd never visited me anywhere, really. I was always the one who traveled to them, who made the effort, who squeezed into their world. They'd never once made the trip to mine. Send them in. The door opened, and they walked in. My mother looked older than I remembered, more lines around her eyes, grayer hair, a weariness in her posture that hadn't been there before. My father looked uncomfortable, out of place in his work boots and flannel in my sleek office, his eyes darting around at the modern furniture, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city skyline stretching out behind me. They sat across from me, and for a long moment, no one spoke. The silence was heavy, charged with years of unspoken things. Finally, my mother said, "We need to talk." "Okay. Talk." "We're struggling. The mortgage, the bills, everything. We're behind on everything. We're going to lose the house." I waited. "Is that all you have to say?" my father asked. "You're just going to sit there?" "What do you want me to say?" "I told you I was stopping the payments. I told you you'd need to figure it out." "We can't figure it out. We don't have the money." "Then get jobs. Both of you. Dad, you're only 62. You can work for years. Mom, you're 59. You could work too. There's no reason you can't support yourselves." My mother's face crumpled. "We've worked our whole lives. We're tired. We thought you'd take care of us." "I did take care of you. For years. And you repaid me by uninviting me from Thanksgiving. That was one day. It was the day that showed me where I stand. And I'll tell you where I stand, nowhere. I'm not a priority. I'm not even welcome. I'm just a wallet. My father stood up, his face red. You ungrateful little. Sit down, Dad. My voice was calm, steady. Screaming at me isn't going to help. I'm not your child anymore. I'm an adult, and I'm done being treated like I don't matter. He sat. My mother cried. We're sorry, she whispered. We're so sorry. We didn't realize. Didn't realize what? That I had feelings. That I needed love, not just requests for money. We were wrong. We see that now. Please. Just give us another chance. I looked at them, these two people who'd raised me, who'd given me life, who'd also given me a lifetime of feeling like I wasn't enough. And I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, not yet. But maybe the possibility of it. Someday. I'll help you, I said. But not the way I used to. No more handouts. I'll help you create a budget, find resources, figure out a plan. But you have to do the work. You have to be adults. They nodded, grateful for anything. And there's one more thing. We're going to need to talk about what happened. Really talk. With a therapist, maybe. Because I can't go back to the way things were. I won't. My mother reached for my hand. We'll do whatever it takes. I hoped she meant it. We sat in my office for another hour, talking. Not about money, about everything else. About the years of distance, the unspoken resentments, the way we'd all failed each other. My father admitted he'd been jealous of my success. My mother admitted she'd taken me for granted. They both admitted they'd been wrong. It wasn't a fairy tale. There was still pain, still history, still work to do. But it was a start. As they left, my mother hugged me, really hugged me, not the perfunctory hugs she usually gave. I love you, she whispered. I've always loved you. I'm just sorry it took this to show it. I hugged her back. I love you too, Mom. After they left, I sat in my office, alone, and let myself feel. The anger, the hurt, the hope, the fear. All of it. For the first time in months, I let myself feel. And I realized something, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning. The beginning of something new, something real, something that might actually be worth having. The months that followed were some of the hardest of my life. We started family therapy, my parents, me, and eventually Derek and his wife Sarah. It was awkward, painful, humbling. We had to talk about things we'd spent decades ignoring. The favoritism. The resentment. The way my success had been seen as a threat instead of a gift. Dr. Chen, our therapist, was patient but direct. She didn't let anyone off the hook, not even me. Ethan's success threatened your identity as a family, she explained to my parents. He represented change, mobility, a different way of living. And instead of celebrating that, you felt judged. But that judgment came from inside you, not from him. My mother cried. My father was silent, but I could see the wheels turning. Ethan, you enabled them for years. You gave money instead of boundaries. You thought if you gave enough, they'd finally love you the way you needed. But love can't be bought. I knew she was right. I'd known it for years. But hearing it spoken aloud made it real. Derek, you resented your brother's success because it made you feel inadequate. But instead of addressing that feeling, you let it fester. You sided with your parents against him because it was easier than examining your own life. Derek shifted uncomfortably. I didn't. You did. And that's okay. We're not here to assign blame. We're here to understand patterns so we can change them. Session after session, we worked through it. The childhood memories, the unspoken rules, the ways we'd all hurt each other without meaning to. It was exhausting. It was painful. It was necessary. Outside of therapy, my parents were learning to stand on their own. My father got a job at a hardware store, minimum wage, but steady. My mother found work at a daycare, watching children younger than her grandchildren. They complained about the long hours, the low pay, the exhaustion. But they did it. Derek and I started talking more. Real conversations, not just superficial catching up. He admitted he'd been jealous of me, of my freedom, my success, my life outside the small town. "I thought you were better than us," he said one night, during a phone call that lasted 2 hours. "I never stopped to think that maybe you were just different. Not better. Just different. I never thought I was better. I just wanted you to be proud of me. I am proud of you. I was just too stupid to say it. Too caught up in my own insecurities." We talked about his life too. His struggles at the factory, his fears about the future, his worries about providing for his kids. I listened. Offered what advice I could. Didn't try to fix anything. By spring, things were better. Not perfect, they never would be, but better. My parents were managing their own finances. Not easily, but they were doing it. My mother's health had stabilized. My father was talking about retiring in a few years, actually planning for it instead of just hoping. We were having regular dinners together, not at their house, but at mine. I'd cook, or we'd order in, and we'd sit around my table and talk. Real talk, the kind we'd never had before. They asked about my life. My work, my friends, my girlfriend Priya, who I'd been seeing for about a year. They listened. Asked questions. Were present. It wasn't a fairy tale. There was still awkwardness, still moments of tension, still old patterns trying to reassert themselves. But we were working on it. All of us. Priya met them for the first time in April. She was nervous, she knew the history, knew how much was at stake. But she handled it beautifully. Warm, engaging, herself. My mother loved her immediately. "She's wonderful," she whispered to me in the kitchen. "Don't mess this up." "I won't, Mom." "Good." She patted my cheek, a gesture from childhood that made my eyes sting. My father was quieter, but I caught him watching Priya with something like approval. Later, he pulled me aside. "She's good for you. I can tell." "Thanks, Dad. You've done well, Ethan. Really well. I'm proud of you." Those words. After 32 years, finally those words. I hugged him. He hugged me back. We both pretended not to cry. Summer turned to fall. The leaves changed, the air cooled, and slowly, inexorably, Thanksgiving approached again. I didn't bring it up. Didn't want to push. The memories of last year's rejection were still fresh, still painful. I didn't know if I could survive another one. But my mother brought it up. 2 weeks before the holiday, she called me. "Ethan, we're having Thanksgiving at our house this year. Everyone's coming. And we want you there." I didn't respond. Couldn't. "Not just because we want to see you," she continued, her voice soft. "But because we miss you. We love you. And we're sorry for last year. Truly sorry." I still couldn't speak. "You don't have to decide now. Think about it. Talk to Priya. But we'd really love to have you. Both of you." I hung up and sat in silence for a long time. Thinking. Feeling. Remembering. I talked to Priya that night. She listened, held my hand, didn't try to tell me what to do. "What do you want to do?" she asked. "I don't know. Part of me wants to go. Part of me is terrified. Terrified of what? Of it happening again. Of walking in and feeling like I don't belong. Of being hurt again. She nodded. That's valid. You've been hurt. It makes sense to be scared. But they've changed. We've all changed. The therapy, the conversations, the work we've done, it's real. Then maybe it's worth the risk. I thought about it for days. The memories of last year's rejection were still raw. The fear of being hurt again was real. But so was the progress we'd made. The healing. The hope. I called my mother back. We'll be there. Thanksgiving that year was strange. Good, but strange. I drove to my parents' house, the same house I'd grown up in, the same table where I'd sat as a child. But everything felt different. I felt different. My mother hugged me at the door, tight and long. My father shook my hand, then pulled me into a hug too. Derek clapped me on the back. His kids ran up to me, excited to see their uncle. Priya was perfect. She helped in the kitchen, played with the kids, charmed everyone. I watched her with my family and felt something I hadn't felt in years, hope. Dinner was loud and chaotic, just like old times. The turkey was slightly dry, my mother's turkey was always slightly dry. The mashed potatoes were perfect. The pumpkin pie was a disaster, she'd forgotten the sugar again, and we all laughed about it. After dinner, my father pulled me aside. We sat on the porch, looking out at the street where I'd learned to ride a bike, where I'd played catch with friends, where I'd become who I was. I want to say something, he said. I've been thinking about it for months. I was wrong. About a lot of things. About you, about your life, about the way I treated you. You didn't deserve any of it. Dad. Let me finish. I was jealous. Jealous that you got out, that you made something of yourself, that you had opportunities one never had. And instead of being proud, I resented you. I made you feel like your success was an insult to me. That was wrong. I didn't know what to say. You're a good man, Ethan. A better man than me. And I'm proud of you. I should have said it years ago. He hugged me. I cried. He cried too. Later, after everyone had gone, I sat on the porch with Priya, looking at the stars. That was intense, she said. Yeah. But good intense. Are you glad you came? I am. I really am. She leaned against me. I'm proud of you too. For standing up for yourself. For setting boundaries. For giving them a chance to change. They did change. That's the amazing part. People can. When they have to. We sat in silence for a while, holding hands, watching the night. So, AITA? I asked, half joking. She laughed. No. You're not the asshole. You're the guy who finally said, enough. And then, when they were ready, you let them back in. That's not asshole behavior. That's grace. I thought about that word. Grace. Giving someone something they don't deserve, not because they've earned it, but because you choose to. Maybe that's what this was. Maybe that's what love looks like, not blind acceptance, but clear-eyed choice. Seeing someone fully, flaws and all, and deciding to stay. The next morning, before we left, my mother handed me an envelope. What's this? Open it. Inside was a check. For $5,000. And a note. This is the first payment. We're paying you back. All of it. It'll take time, but we're going to do it. Because you're our son, not our bank. We love you. I looked at her, stunned. We meant what we said. No more taking. No more expecting. Just, family. Real family. I hugged her. Tight. I love you, Mom. I love you too, sweetheart. I always have. I was just too stupid to show it. We laughed through tears. On the drive home, Priya reached over and held my hand. You okay? I think I am. For the first time in a long time, I think I'm actually okay. She smiled. Good. Because you deserve to be. I thought about everything that had happened. The rejection, the pain, the cutting off, the healing, the reconciliation. It had been the hardest year of my life. But also the most transformative. I'd learned that love can't be bought. That boundaries aren't walls, they're doors, and you get to choose who enters. That family isn't about blood or obligation or guilt. It's about choice. About showing up, even when it's hard. About forgiving, even when it hurts. My family wasn't perfect. They never would be. Neither was I. But we were learning. Growing. Trying. And that, I realized, was enough. Which side of that story were you on? Let me know in the comments. And if you love diving into these Reddit rabbit holes with me, subscribe to Reddit Be Mine. We're building the best storytelling community on YouTube, and we'd love to have you. Click that sub button and stay tuned.